Have you ever pulled into a place and thought immediately, this is not going to work?
That's how we felt when we got here. And honestly, that's how we felt about some of the features of our RV when we started our full-time life.
But just as you can change sites, you can also change some features in your RV to make it fit your life better.
Welcome back to the Wild Blue Wanderers channel. I'm Scott.
And I'm Ashley, and we are at Lake Conroe Thousand Trails, which is north of Houston, and this is our third Thousand Trails park. So this park, our first impression was not very good. When we pulled in, I led Scott in the pickup and I went to go find the spot, and as I pulled up, there was a car parked in our spot. Yeah. So I had to get out of the pickup, knock on the door of the neighboring trailer and say, "Hey, is this your car? Can you please move it?" And they were great. They came right out and moved it. And then and then there were some kids, basically, I mean, little kids, and they were playing not just by the site, but in the street, off the site. There was toys kind of everywhere. There was toys in the street. I had to move one of the kids' scooters, so I'm like, that just didn't start out good.
And then once we did get into the site, I had turned on the Level Mate Pro, and the rear of the RV was over a foot lower than the front of our RV, and that was even before I dumped the airbags. And I don't have enough suspension travel or blocks to make up a foot of difference in elevation, so there was no way we could have safely got leveled up in that spot.
So we decided to pull back out. I ran back up in the pickup to the front office and asked them if they could put us in a different spot. And luckily, they did. They were very nice, very accommodating. He's like, "Well, let me see what I can do." And so anyways, they were able to put us in a different section, and we still had to use our blocks, but it was much better. Right. Much better. Yep.
And it is a 50 amp service. It's got full hookups. It has the sewer and water, which is nice compared to the last Thousand Trails we were at. So that's good. And there's quite a few cool features here. They've got a swimming pool. They got a marina right here on Lake Conroe. They've got pickleball and all sorts of activities over there. So that's not too bad. And we ended up having some of our friends just in the next section over here, so we were able to go hang out with them the other evening too, which was pretty nice. Yeah. So it's turned out our first impressions may not have been the best.
It's a lot more active, we'll just say. There's a lot more people here, so it's a lot more crowded. And it's actually a bigger park than the last two that we were in.
Yep. And they did have a dog park. It's not quite as big as the one we got spoiled with in Fredericksburg, but we met some cool people at the dog park, and the dogs got to play and meet some friends, so that worked out pretty nice.
It's the dog park with all the dogs there.
There was a good combination of people who had annual sites and then some that were full-time in the Thousand Trails system.
Yep, what do they call that? The Thousand Trails Shuffle, where they stay 3 weeks, they go somewhere else, and they come back, and they just kind of bounce between a couple of different RV parks.
Yep. And then, of course, you have the travelers that use it sometimes, like us.
Yep. And then you have the part-time RVers, or the weekend warriors, are the ones that just go out for a week here or there, or a month here and there. So
yeah. And one of the things that as we were looking and looking around and seeing the different types of RVers that are here, it got us thinking that there's definitely a different way that the part-time weekend warriors camp versus the full-time people who live in their RVs.
Yes, full-time RV livers. Yep, for sure. And we're full-time RV living and traveling, so there's a little bit difference there too, because people that are full-time living in their RV, they can set up with porches and all kind of stuff. We still have to have our rig so we can travel and go places, but it's still our home.
Yeah.
So since we got our rig, we've made quite a few modifications, and a lot of those modifications were to make it our home for our full-time RV traveling lifestyle. A lot of these RVs, when you get them from the factory, they're set up for people who don't live and travel in them full time as a life, and it's not necessarily their home, it's just a vacation for them. So there's quite a few modifications that we've made to our RV over the last year or two.
We've made over, I counted them, over 50 modifications we've done.
So today we're going to list our 5 top favorite modifications, each of us. Ashley's top 5 and my top 5.
I'm going to get us started with my number 5. For that, I'm going to take you to our laundry room. When we first got this rig, the closet doors to the washer and dryer opened like this. And I had to stand like this and get everything in and out of the washing machine. So Scott was able to get some hinges on Amazon, and now the closet opens like this. We can get in and out of the washing machine. We have these giant bins that carry our shoes, so I can take those out, and it has been wonderful.
My number 5 is the rear window of our motorhome. From the factory, when we got it, it was emergency exit only, and it had 2 latches that you could open and swing out in an emergency to get in and out. Now, from the factory, they have to build it that way because they don't want it to be propped open when you're driving down the road and allow carbon monoxide to get inside the rig. But I went ahead and changed it because we know not to leave it open while we're driving down the road. So instead, I added these 2 latches, which allow it to slide out and lock open, and so we can get the ventilation during the day when we're boondocking. Then I was able to make a screen. We went to Bontrager's and I picked up a couple of old screens, and I was able to modify them and make them the correct size to make a screen for this window. So now we actually have good ventilation, and we know that we make sure that it is always closed when we're driving down the road so we don't get carbon monoxide to come in. That's my number 5.
For number 4, I'm going to take you in the bathroom because that's where everybody wants to see, right? Scott was able to switch out our original toilet for a ceramic toilet with an elongated bowl and a regular soft close lid, so that makes it feel more residential. Along with that, he also added a bidet with cold and hot water, so that makes it pretty comfortable. So it's highly recommended.
So my number 4 is this brush guard. We installed this. This hood is fiberglass. And as we drive around, we've seen a lot of deer and elk and animals on the road along with other things. And you know, if you hit one of those with all this fiberglass, it's just going to shatter this fiberglass. So this is my number 4 mod that I'm really happy that we added, was this big brush guard on the front to protect the front of our rig.
Number 3 for me was something that I think I did most of, if not all of. I removed the dinette, which had the booth seating, which was very uncomfortable, and we hardly ever used it as intended. So we do have a dinette. We are probably going to be pulling this out at some point and reconfiguring it to like a desk area, and potentially an area for the cats to hang out. And we replaced it with this cat tree that has a hidden litter compartment because we have a cat with us and we needed somewhere for him to go to the bathroom and have his food up away from the dogs. And I didn't want a litter box in the middle of the floor because nobody wants that. So this was a good option for us. But it also left us enough room that I could add a cool desk. And this desk is an electric standing desk. So I can use it sitting down, I can raise it up, use it as a standing desk, and then we also put Laurel's kennel underneath it, tuck it away for when we leave the motorhome and need to leave her here so she won't chew up things.
So number 3 for me is our trailer hitch. We showed it in a previous video. We actually raised this hitch up 4 inches. Before it sat 4 inches lower, and when we would enter and exit driveways or weird approaches, it would drag on the bottom. By raising it that 4 inches, it gave us a lot better angle on our toad also, so the hitch angle was better. So that was my number 3 or 4? That's my number 3.
My number 2 is this giant pantry. Okay, well I have a small pantry, but it came with wire baskets that made it even smaller. They were tapered, and so I could hardly fit 5 cans in each drawer. So instead, Scott replaced it with these wonderful wood slide-out drawers. They fully extend, and look how many canned goods I can get in there.
So my number 2 is our True Topper slide toppers. Unlike conventional slide toppers that have the fabric that goes over the top, that's whap in the wind, that get ripped and torn or bunch up, this one actually acts as a squeegee. At True Topper, they go through and they cut this outside flange off, and then as the slide goes in, it actually acts as a squeegee, and it squeegees off any water or debris that's on top of the slide so it doesn't get on the inside edge. Then once the slide's all the way in, that upper flange actually acts as flashing and closes so it's properly flashed so any water doesn't get into the slide mechanism as you're driving down the road or as it's parked with the slide in. We love these True Toppers. That's my number 2.
And my number 1 modification that we've done is we took out the double bowl sink that was shallow, that was factory standard, and we replaced it with this single bowl deep sink. Before, I had a heck of a time washing big pans like this, let alone my giant Dutch oven. And now everything, they fit in the sink. So that was my number 1.
So my number 1 is our electrical system. We actually added 900 amp hours of lithium batteries. I added a second inverter to our system. We put 1100 watts of solar on the roof. So the system is set up where we can run our air conditioners, we can run everything off the batteries if we need to. Obviously not for very long, but we can run everything in our system so when we're boondocking, everything works nice and smooth. So that's my number 1, is our electrical system. So that's our top 5.
Yep.
And from there, we've got a few other things that we want to do down the road. One of the ones that I want to do is I want to put cabinetry in our upper bunk area. We took the bed out. We have no desire to have a bunk up there. So since we took the bed out, I'd like to make some custom cabinets up there just to have some more storage.
And along the lines of storage, we've got a fireplace and a televator, but in that cabinet, there's a ton of dead space that we could use. So I'd like to see a kind of a cabinet built behind the fireplace.
Yeah, I think that's something that we can have done. Maybe when we have the cabinetry done, put it on a hinge with a door that opens up so the fireplace spools out.
Yep.
So that should be something we could have done eventually down the road too. Yeah. So these are all things that helped us to make it home for us for our full-time living. What kind of mods have you guys done? Or are these any that you'd think about doing?
Yeah.
Leave us a comment, let us know. Like I said, some mods work good for some people, aren't necessarily important to somebody else.
Exactly. So it all depends on how you live in your rig.
Yep. So our stay here at Lake Conroe actually has turned out to be pretty good. The campground's not bad. Would you come back again?
You know, I would come back again, but I think I would specify what area I want to stay in.
Yep.
And yeah, be interesting to see how it goes the next time.
Yeah. So we hope you enjoyed the video and you'll like, comment, subscribe, do all those things.
Yeah.
So we hope to see you on the road.